Hi, everyone, and welcome to this lecture on academic language. We're going to talk about morphology, comma splices, linking words, and the passive voice. Starting off with morphology. Morphology is the study of the internal structure of words and forms a core part of linguistic study today. The term morphology is Greek and is a makeup of morph, meaning shape or form, and ology, which means the study of something. For example, the word worker consists of the stem word work and the suffix er to create a word which means a person who works. So how does this work? First of all, a free morpheme is a simple word consisting of one morpheme, for example, house, work, high, chair, or wrap. They are words in themselves. There are also bound morphemes, which are morphemes that must be attached to another morpheme to receive meaning. In the example, unkindness, we have the stem free morpheme kind and the bound morphemes un and ness, which do not carry any meaning by themselves, but when put before and after the word kind, they make up the whole word unkindness, which is made up now by three different morphemes. These bound morphemes that we put either at the end or at the beginning of a free morpheme are called affixes. There are two kinds of affixes. One of them is called prefix. That is the affix which is put in front of the stem, in this case un. But there is also the suffix, which comes at the end of the stem, in this case ness. A normal way in which morphology works is changing words into different word classes. Take the stem desire, which is a verb or a noun meaning to want something or the feeling of wanting something. Add the suffix able to create the word desirable, an adjective describing something which someone wants. Use the following stems and create new words of a new word class: private, success, use, and thought. If you want to do this by yourself, pause the video now. Moving on to comma splices. A comma splice results when two independent clauses or complete sentences are incorrectly joined or spliced with a comma. For example, Richard wanted to go to the football game, comma, Shauna wanted to watch basketball. In this case, we have a comma splice in the words game and Shauna. In between there, you can see that there is a comma. But both the beginning of the sentence, Richard wanted to go to the football game, and the end, Shauna wanted to watch basketball, are complete sentences on their own, which means that they can never be joined by a comma. Not in English, and neither in Swedish. We're going to talk about three different ways to correct comma splices. The first one being divide the two independent clauses into two separate sentences. For example, Richard wanted to go to the football game, full stop. Shauna wanted to watch basketball. Here we have fixed the problem with the comma splice, making the two independent clauses into two separate sentences. A second way to correct a comma splice is to use a comma and a coordinating conjunction, for example, and, so, but, for, yet, or nor. Use the acronym FANBOYS to remember them. To join two equally important ideas presented in two clauses. For example, Richard wanted to go to the football game, and Shauna wanted to watch basketball, but Shauna wanted to watch basketball, yet Shauna wanted to watch basketball. Of course, using these coordinating conjunctions creates a difference in the meaning of the sentence, so use it wisely. The third way of correcting a comma splice is to use a subordinating conjunction to create a dependent clause. By themselves, dependent clauses are fragments and must be connected to an independent clause. Commonly used subordinating conjunctions are after, ever since, that, where, as, whether, although, how, though, whereas, as if, until, if, unless, and wherever. As an example, Richard wanted to go to the football game, whereas Shauna wanted to watch basketball. Here we have created a dependent clause at the end of this sentence. Because if you listen, if we just take the clause, whereas Shauna wanted to watch basketball, that cannot stand on its own, making it a non-complete sentence. This way, we have an independent clause, Richard wanted to go to the football game, and a dependent clause, whereas Shauna wanted to watch basketball, and therefore it's okay. Linking words. Certain words are used to link ideas and to signpost to the reader the direction your line of reasoning is about to take, such as adding more emphasis or introducing an alternative viewpoint. For example, I have never liked that girl on the 5th floor, although I don't think she likes me either. Although in this case is a linking word, linking the idea that I have never liked the girl on the 5th floor and I don't think she likes me either. Some different definitions of examples of linking words. If you want to add more to a point already made, you can use also, moreover, furthermore, or in addition. If you want to write in lists, first, secondly, thirdly. Putting the same idea in different ways, rather, in that case, in other words, with this in mind. If you want to introduce examples, that is, for example, in other words, for instance. If you want to introduce an alternative viewpoint, by contrast, alternatively, on the other hand, on the one hand, or showing the results of something. Therefore, accordingly, as a result, because of this, you can see more examples of linking words on the course website. Lastly, we're going to talk about the passive voice. The passive of an active tense is formed by putting the verb to be in the same tense as the active verb and adding the past participle of the active verb. The subject of the active verb becomes the agent of the passive verb. The agent is very often not mentioned. When it is mentioned, it is preceded by and placed at the end of the clause. This may seem very difficult to understand, but I will show you an example. The passive voice is used when we want to put emphasis on the object of the sentence rather than the subject, or when we do not want to mention the subject at all. For example, he delivers letters. This is an example of an active sentence, or the active voice, a sentence in the active voice. We can change this into the passive voice instead, making it the letters are delivered. And then we can add by him if we want to have the subject in there. But most often when we use the passive voice, we want to omit. We want to not mention the subject at all. So if we don't want to say, for example, what gender the person is, we don't want to say that it's he who delivers the letters. Instead, we can say the letters are delivered. You can learn more about this and see more examples of this on the course website. Thanks for today, and I hope to see you next time.